This is Speaking of Pets podcast, where we offer you up-to-date, science-based, accurate information.
Oh, Gizmo! Good kitty. You're such a good kitty.
And they're looking up and howling in unison.
If it affects pets, we'll talk about it. Today's Speaking of Pets podcast is sponsored by Blue Buffalo, the maker of natural pet foods. Love them like family, feed them like family. Blue Buffalo offers wholesome, meat-first recipes with high-quality natural ingredients in flavors dogs and cats love. Discover formulas for all breed sizes, life stages, and lifestyles. And with Blue Buffalo's True Blue Promise, that assures that real meat is the first ingredient, with no poultry byproducts, no corn, wheat, or soy, and no artificial flavors or preservatives. Hey, welcome to Speaking of Pets. I'm Dr. Alice Novotny-Jeroen, a board-certified veterinary allergist and dermatologist, and
I'm Janet Novotny-King. I am not a board-certified allergist and dermatologist. I'm the doctor's sister, and I am a pet lover and owner, and we're here to tell you and get some really good information to all our pet owners out there about their pets and how they can be the best pet owners ever. So thanks for joining us.
And we have some fun doing it.
Yeah, it drives up a lot of old Cleveland memories.
Too much fun. And we're going to need therapy after this, Janet.
We're going to. And today's topic, we were talking about the Cleveland Guardians, who are kind of on a roll, and then they had 4 losses. But having born and raised in Cleveland, Ohio, and lived my first 23 years there, I didn't even know those freaking statues on the bridge were called the Guardians. So there you go. But it's a great name, great promo video, Tom Hanks. But here we are.
Yeah.
Just had to throw that in.
Well, speaking of which, what is more important that we've both been in the hospital, Janet, and of course, Daddy was in the hospital. Mm-hmm. And I wish that when we were in the hospital, that there was a pet therapy program, because what do you do in the hospital except look forward to eating? Okay. That's really it. And so today we're so lucky to have Michael Bugary with his dog, Lingo, which we can't wait to hear more about. Michael heads up the Pet Pals program at University Hospitals of Cleveland. Little bit about Michael. He played baseball for the University of California, Berkeley, and the Boston Red Sox. And we promised not to hit him with all Red Sox gossip questions. Yeah. But then suffered a career-ending injury. So, and developed some other physical problems, including brain cancer, which is when he met Lingo. And we all know the strength of a human-animal bond. Yep. I mean, that dog, let's just say this, Michael, he probably got you through it. And we can't wait to meet Lingo, who's an ex-military dog, by the way. And anyway, Pet Pals, a wonderful organization. We're going to find out all about it, how your dog can maybe qualify, and you, because it's not only the dog, the handler has to qualify as well. But Michael, thank you for all you do, and thank Lingo, too, who we hope to get to meet today during the show. And welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Michael, let's start it off. Tell us a story about a patient where Lingo and you made a difference. I'm sure there's a few good ones out there.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely many. I think let's start with this one. So one time we walk into, we face all kinds of things in the hospital. And there's one time where we walked in, and we mostly go to Rainbow Babies, the children's hospital. And because a lot of times Lingo likes to sit up on the bed with them, when he gets a break while he's working. So we walk into this one room one time, and this girl, she had like a tube in her throat from some type of surgery or something she had to do. And she was kind of at odds with the nurse about taking it out, because it's been there for a while, but the nurse was trying, it's one of those things where she was too painful. And Lingo instinctively jumped on the bed and kind of sat under her arm. And when she was taking time petting Lingo, and she didn't even notice while the nurse took it out. And it was just like that moment where it was like, you couldn't believe it was happening. And it was just really cool. And that's one of, 100 stories. Every time we go, we see something, a miracle like that happen.
Isn't that great? I mean, now, do you ever get any of the kids that are afraid of dogs and then they meet Lingo and that changes their life?
I think so. I think Lingo's a big dog, right? He's close to 100 pounds and he's very tall. So I think a lot of times, especially some of the smaller children, they get a little intimidated at him by first. And I think sometimes the patients without the dogs, it may be an inspiration for them to want to get one later when they get out. I think I've seen that a lot where, we're talking to the parents, because that's what I do most of the time, right? The kids are with the dog, but I'm talking to the parents and the families. That's who gets the most out of it almost. And so I definitely seen situations where they were like, yeah, we got to get a dog after this, after they see that interaction.
Oh.
But it's really cool to see the kids that are afraid, but then they turn around and they know how docile and gentle Lingo is, and they see that not all dogs are bad because of how big they are, right? So it's really cool to see that too. That's a miracle in itself.
Well, does Lingo kind of like get excited when he knows you're going to Rainbow Babies or to the hospital, and does he know what to do? Like it's just instinctive?
Well, yes, he, like I say, he moonlights, right? Because he has his own special harness and his red collar and harness, and he knows when I get ready to put it on him, he gets so excited, he runs around, gets the zoomies a little bit, and then he turns it on like that. And he is just the perfect dog at the hospital, you know. And I would say, like, you wouldn't believe him at home, you know. He's not like this, but he knows he's working. And I think a lot of that had to do with him being raised in the Army base and being around people all the time. And he knows how to instinctively knows when it's time to do this, because at home he'll beg for food and treats and things like that. He'll run around with the dogs, he'll bark, he'll do those things. But then when we get to the hospital and he's just transformed. And it's really incredible to watch.
How did you get an ex-military dog? Because we had on the show people from Mission Canine who, are you familiar with them?
Yes, I saw a little bit of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lingo, the difference is with Lingo wasn't really a service dog. He wasn't like a bomb sniffer or any of that. I think the military base is the Defense Language Institute, and that's why he gets his name Lingo, after language. I think the commandant there at the time, and then you have the civilians of the base and you have the soldiers, right? So all different branches. They come to learn the foreign languages where they need to use them, whatever military capacity. And so I think the commandant at the time were like, hey, let's adopt a dog for a boost morale and therapy for the soldiers. And I don't know if a lot of thought was put into it. Like, you know, having a dog at the base is a lot of work, right? Yeah. Most dogs have handlers and things, and Lingo didn't have that. Lingo didn't have a handler or an owner. He kind of stayed at the base. And so at a certain point, my mom at the time was the chief of operations for the base. And so she was pretty high up there. And I had just moved back to California and recovering from my cancer. I was probably about a year and a half removed from it, but I was having a really hard time. I was really depressed. I had just lost all my hair, lost all this weight. And I was just went from like a pro athlete to, like, you know, just not even recognizable, basically. And so I didn't want to go out. I wanted to hide from the world because I didn't want to talk about baseball or other stuff. I wasn't one of those people to, like, say, hey, feel sorry for me. I was stubborn, right? I didn't know how to ask for help. And so I think my mom instinctively knew, like a mother's intuition, right? Where she knew that Lingo was having a hard time too, because what they started to do is on the weekends, the civilians weren't able to take care of Lingo because they're at home, right? And so the soldiers had to. But if you get a soldier on shift that maybe doesn't like dogs, right, they're not going to give Lingo the attention, right? So he spent a lot of time in his cage or not getting the exercise that he needed. And so some of the civilians started to take him home on weekends. But, you know, you have people with other dogs and families, so it was kind of hard. And my mom started taking him home. So I think my mom instinctively knew, like, hey, I got a son at home that's having a hard time. I got a dog here that's having a hard time. So that's how we connected. Wow. And so, and I soon became his handler after a while. So,
where was his base? Where was the base that your mom was on?
In Monterey, California.
Okay.
Where I'm from. Yeah.
Oh, you're from Monterey?
Originally.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I lived in Menlo Park.
Okay, a little bit north, but yeah, Northern California.
Is stunning. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it is. It's beautiful.
Wow. It is. I get asked all the time why I moved to Pierpont from there.
I was thinking about that, but I didn't want to bring it up.
I tell them the weather, right? I wanted to experience the seasons, you know,
the horror of it.
Yeah.
So that's how you.
I'm still in my honeymoon.
I'm
still in my honeymoon.
Well, you got Lingo, because I was wondering about that name. I thought it had to do with linguistics. That's really cute. Yeah. So he was a base dog, just like a neighborhood dog hanging out.
Yeah, he was like the therapy dog for this. Yeah, so he was. They adopted him from the SPCA there locally. Wow. He was a little bit less than a year old when they did, and it's a lot. And that's just his temperament, you know. I think being around that really helped him with that.
So when you take him in to UH to Rainbow, are there other dogs there at the same time, or do you have different shifts?
Well, there's always the facility dogs that are there, right? And the hospital just got a couple new ones, so they have certain floors that have certain dogs. You know, and the volunteer office has their own dog too. Oh, and so we see them regularly, but sometimes it all just depends. You know, who's there. We try to go 3 times a month at least, And so sometimes we run into a few dogs, sometimes we run into none.
Is it all dogs, or do people bring like rabbits and cats, and or just is it dogs only?
Mostly dogs. There is a mini horse that comes.
Oh, I love that.
And his name's Willie Nelson. I haven't seen him, so I can't speak too much on him. But I think that he can only come for a few minutes at a time, like 45 minutes or so, because the horses go to the bathroom right on the floors and stuff. So
yeah, but usually like in parades, they put a diaper on them.
Oh,
yeah, I don't know.
so
Yeah.
there's dogs that live at the hospital?
Well, they go to work every day. So their handlers are people that are like head nurses on the facility floor, all right, or that work there. There's a lot of different circumstances, but a lot of the floors at the children's hospital have dogs that are regularly there for the kids.
Wow,
It's pretty cool.
I didn't know that. That's cool. So
Are there a
they
lot
just
or how many dogs are in the program? Are there a lot?
Yeah, there's a lot. I don't know about number wise, but I know there's a couple hundred that are volunteers. But and the facility, you have to talk to Diane a little more about that. She knows all the logistics of that.
Yeah.
But I know there's several. I mean, like I said, we just got 2 new ones too.
Oh, that's great. So I was reading the qualifications. I mean, the dog has to be pretty darn, how do I want to say, docile,
chill,
and
totally chill.
Yeah, and,
chill.
Yeah, and
Totally
yeah,
chill.
yeah, and pass through. I know a little bit about the program, the Doggy Brigade at Akron Children's, because some of my clients belong to that. But I remember they used to drop like heavy pans and stuff, so that if the dog flinched or got afraid, they're like, "Ooh, no, you don't pass."
Sure.
You've got to have a pretty even-tempered dog, I would imagine.
Yeah, because when we're in the patient's rooms, sometimes the machines beep real loud, right?
Oh.
And you're in tight spaces and dark rooms, and I think the hardest thing is the energy, right? It's a negative energy, and the dogs sense that. They really do, and I can tell when Lingo's starting to get tired from it. He's gotten a little bit better with it over time. Now he can last a little over 2 hours, but that's about the max time. So
Wow.
yeah, and it all depends on how many patients we see. Sometimes we see 1 or 2. Sometimes we spend a whole hour with them. We just go when it's needed. Sometimes we visit 20, and it's hard to get through the hallways with him too. Everybody wants to stop and talk to him, right? So, which is part of it as well.
So how does someone get involved? Like if in the Cleveland area, how does it work?
Well, I can tell you what I did. I went on the website and found there's a few certain accredited therapy dogs certifications that you need for certain things. So I found the one that the hospital required, right? And so when I did that, we went and got Canine Good Citizen, and then we got certified as a official therapy dog. Yeah, and then we reached out to the Pet Pals program, and then we set up an interview to meet with Diane, the head of Pet Pals, and she takes us through, sees that the dog is able to handle that, because not all therapy dogs can handle that, right? It's a lot. You see other dogs in the hospital and they can't like bark and want to play, right? Like I said, you go through, you see those loud noises and those things, and you face all kinds of circumstances and situations. And so the dog has to be able to do that. So if the dog seems like, hey, this dog can do it, then they have supervised visits for like the next 8 times or so in that sense. So they'll have supervised visits and to see if they can handle it. And then we're able to kind of go out on our own with letting them know Lingo and I are coming today. Let them know so they know how many dogs are on the floor, so they know who's there at all times, because the Pet Pals especially, they take everything seriously, in the safety of the dogs and the people. We want to make sure that they run a good program and everything's going smoothly. We're helping and not in the way, right?
I love that people are hearing that Lingo was a rescue, pretty much. Maybe it'll inspire some of the parents to look into rescue for the kids,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we preach that message all the time. There's a lot of dogs out there that need it.
Yeah. Look at the potential that he had, that you brought out with him. I mean, he did so much for you, but look at the potential that he had that was really unlocked until you got him. I think that's wonderful.
It's hard because I like to say that, we helped each other, right? And I really believe that Lingo saved me, and I believe it was almost a higher power thing, because Lingo is the same age as my brain tumor. He was born in the same month, and it's like this connection, and there's so many small connections like that into what he's done for me, and it's really cool thing. And we're a really good team, and I think we bring it out in each other.
Well, kudos to your mom too, because she was really the one that did you know of him before your mom? I mean, had you gone to the base to see your mom for anything You met him?
No, kind of. I'd heard about him, right?
Uh-huh.
I heard about him. And listen, at this time, I had dogs growing up. I'm a dog person. I love dogs, but I didn't understand the real power of dogs and before that. So it wasn't like in my foresight to think, hey, maybe a dog's going to save me. You know, I had no idea. And so I was so caught up in myself and what I was going through that I think I needed somebody else to step in. Yes. And I thank her every day for that. And she lets me know, so.
Yeah, right.
So,
I think, Michael, it's so meaningful for people that think there are dumb animals. There are no dumb animals. It's just that we don't appreciate their intelligence because we rate them according to our intelligence.
Sure.
And they're tons smarter than we'll ever be. And also more, how can I want to say, emotional than we'll ever be. They pick up on stuff. Yeah.
Right. It's that anthropomorphization that we do, right? Where we put, right. And it's unrealistic meter to measure them on. Right. And so you're absolutely, I see that. I've learned so much through this process and the power of them and it's amazing. And, I try to, it's a hard thing to quantify sometimes, right? We can do the science and we can go with all those other things, but I've always thinking about how can I put this into words to people. Right. And so the best way that I've come up with it is like, Lingo brought me into the moment. Right? He made me present, right? And that's what he does at the hospital, right? I was so caught up in the past, right? My pain from the past. I was so worried about my future and if I was going to have this and have not. And then Lingo just is there. And so I remember that first day I brought him out and this goofy dog is running around chasing geese and he got me out of the house for the first time and who knows how long. I just being present was such a powerful thing. And that's where you recover. And when I go to the hospital and visit with these kids, they stop thinking about all the pain that they're in and they stop worrying about tomorrow and their parents are in tears. You can see it because they're just so happy in the moment petting that dog, no matter what kind of pain they were in. And that being present is just so powerful that I've seen it with my own eyes so many times.
That's got to be so rewarding for you. So, and to Lingo, it's probably just what he does, and we're gushing over him and he's like, don't make such a big deal. But really you talking to the parents and seeing, oh my God, that's got to be so emotional.
Well,
I hope there's a book. I hope you're going to do a book about
a book
this.
Would be great.
I am. It'll be part of the story. There's some other things, but yeah, it was hard for me at first, right? Because I spent a lot of time in the hospital and being back in those rooms, being back in the ICUs and the other things but I think the big thing it taught me is it's not really about me, right? It's helping me go there and face that was also another gift that I got because that's how I got stronger through it. I'm able to do it, but that's the courage and gift that Lingo does give me. So I do think that we help each other.
Well, you just think about, like you said, Alice, you lie in the hospital and, depending on how sick you are, you're almost kind of hopeless, right? And, and having that companion, that furry, friendly, happy companion, lifts one's spirits. And I love that he's a big dog and these kids are learning that big dogs, they're friendly and they're docile and they're okay to be around instead of being fearful.
Oh yeah. We did a charity event. We spoke at one where they was doing the brave shave where the kids shave their heads, for cancer treatment. And there was, big, loud assembly, loud noises, and Lingo's laying on the floor and they got 5 or 6 kids petting him on the head, not even phased. He does that.
Hey, did you know that for dogs and cats that could benefit from a prescription diet, Blue Buffalo offers natural veterinary diets formulated by animal nutritionists and veterinarians for certain dietary needs like kidney support, weight management, gastrointestinal support, and my particular favorite, dermatology. They make a food allergic diet that's an alligator-based called NP or a hydrolyzed salmon-based for dogs and cats called HF. Contact your veterinarian about these prescription Blue Buffalo diets.
So my brain tumor that I had was so rare in adults. It happens to like less than 100 adults in the world a year or something like that. But it's very prevalent in children. And so part of the reason why I wanted to, my motivation for taking Lingo to help was I know what I went through at 27 and there's some culpability to what I did and went through in my own actions and choices. But to think of like a 5-year-old kid going through that, or think of them just being there, it's unimaginable to me in a sense. And if we can provide a little bit of joy in that, and Lingo loves it, and hopefully that's why we do it, and it is rewarding, I think, because that's the most powerful thing we can do is to help other people, right? And to volunteer our time, And that's what makes, it helps me. It helps me, and so when I talk to the parents and I see what they're going through and they tell me about their dogs at home, right? Or they tell me about, or we share Lingo's story. It makes me think of my family and all the things that they did for me and all the people that have helped me and the things that I can do better. And that's all part of being in the present, right? Like I said earlier.
Boy, that's for sure. Dogs sure live in the present. Are they allowed to give him treats? The patient's allowed to give him treats?
No, we try not to.
Yeah.
But he does when we go visit the volunteers office or we stop by Diane's office. Yeah, he gets some treats there. He goes around and plays with the other dogs that are there. There's toys. Like he doesn't like toys at home, but when he goes into one of the facility dogs, he'll go mess with their toys a little bit, just to show them up.
Just to show him who's boss.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's also, you're a stranger that's coming and spending your time with your dog to help someone else, right? And that says a lot. That means a lot to those patients.
Yeah, I think you're right, Janet. I was telling Janet that when my dad died, he died at UH, and he had terminal cancer, and
he was our dad, by the way, not just her dad. Just letting you know.
Oh, okay, whatever. So when he passed away, it was like 8:30 in the morning, and I remember the cleaning lady because sometimes I'd fall asleep in the chair and she'd come in and she'd just kind of, like a little church mouse, be real quiet. Of all the people there, because you know how you get to know, you see the same faces, the same patients, everything. Of all the people there, she came up just silently, gave me a hug and walked away. And that meant more to me that a stranger would do that, because you expect your friends and loved ones. Oh, I'm so sorry. But when a stranger does that, so when you walk in there with Lingo, I got to tell you that means the world to those people.
And I think that's back to what I was mentioning earlier is about the most powerful thing is donating our time, right? When we donate our time to somebody, because you can donate money and all these other things, and that's good, right? People need that. But when you go there and you give your time and not expect anything in return, right? That there's something really powerful to that, and that's what Lingo's taught me a lot, and that's really, really helped me to be a better person and to be a better brother, sister, whatever, son. And
does Lingo have any brothers and sisters that live with you?
Yes, he has Lexi.
Okay.
And then so my family all moved out here from California. So I live on the big property with the lake and all this stuff. So where the dogs love to go. So within the last 3 years, we've had 5 German Shepherds, and so my parents have 2, my sister has 1, my brother has 2. So
wow.
That may be 6. There's too many. I can't even count them all. So there's a lot of times where I have the whole herd with me, and so I call it the Shepherd Shuffle. So I have one of the shepherds every night. So and they're all sweet. They're all different. I don't know if I want to get another shepherd, but
they all get along.
Oh yeah, except for the 2 shepherd girls. They fought over a male early on, and now they're sisters, and so they're kind of at odds with each other. They're kind of fight on sight right
now.
So we're working on that. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
come here, big boy. Yeah, I can just see it now.
Yeah, exactly. They're black shepherds, and they're beautiful, and they all get along. They're all really good friends, and it's great. But that's the only problem that we have. So it's got to be the shuffle. We always got to communicate who's where, who's with who.
That's true. Yeah.
Because the last time they saw each other, it's been like 6 months. We accidentally miscommunicated, and then they saw each other and they looked around. Can we do this? And then they went after each other. So we're working on it. We're doing muzzle training to try to get them back into it. We want to assimilate back, because it makes life easier when they all get along. And they got along.
I agree. For years. Yeah. When you have to say, okay, is this one in the backyard? Is the gate closed? And we'll do this one. Yeah, it is. It's hard.
It's stressful. So Michael, you've inspired me, because I'm retiring in a few months, and we have a golden retriever that Alice got she's a rescue, Libby. Nothing phases this dog. Thunder, fireworks, slamming doors, hammers, banging, dropping a pot. She is just so chill, and I think she'd be great. And she loves everybody. So I think she'd be a great therapy dog. I can go to the hospital here. I think she would love it. A friend of mine, actually, she did have a therapy dog here at Stanford Hospital, and she had a golden, and it was incredibly rewarding. But here's what I remember. Before she took her golden, they always had to be freshly bathed.
I mean, I do it anyway. I don't want to bring the dirty kid, right?
Yeah.
So I make sure he's brushed. I mean, he's hard because he's got that husky mix in him. So in the summer he sheds a little bit more, but I make sure he's always bathed because out here he'll roll in mud with the other dogs. He'll try to find dead things to lay in, and he's a dog. And that's a cool thing about moving here and having that property is that Lingo gets to be a dog for once. Right. And so with the other dogs and I didn't hear him bark for like 2 years when I had him, because he didn't have like his own home, right? And now he likes to bark. And so when he's with the other dogs, he gets to be a dog. He gets to be a pack animal, which he loves. And so I have to wash them all the time because he's a couch dog too. So yeah, and he likes to get on my bed. So I make sure he's always washed.
You know what? To let you guys both know, you've heard of MRSA, methicillin-resistant Staph aureus.
I know it is MRSA. Thank you very much. Yeah.
MRSA, yeah. MRSA, dogs can actually get from humans. In other words, when I was in practice and we would culture a dog that had MRSA, I'd say, well, does anyone in the home work in a hospital? Oh, yeah, my mom does, and the dog spends time. So even though Michael's real careful about the dog not taking anything there, humans can actually give dogs MRSA. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I would bathe before and after if I were you. Well, seriously.
Michael, I have a goose and duck poop connoisseur here that rolls in it, eats it, rolls in it, and it's like black tar. She just came in with it all over her face. I'm like,
they love it.
And I prefer Dawn. I use the spray. I use Dawn, gets it out. So anyway, yeah.
And we make sure we use hand sanitizer all the time at the hospital too.
Yeah. So that's great.
A lot of the patients have to. I have my own little personal bottle with me.
Yeah.
And so I'm spraying all the patients that before they pet Lingo. I mean, the dogs don't particularly like it, but it's more important that we remain cleanliness.
Oh, sure.
And the pet pals is really great with that. For every room that we go into, we hand sanitize. So we really work on that aspect of it.
That's smart.
And I was reading in the application, the dogs have to be checked by a vet. Is it every 6 months or annually?
I believe it's 6 months.
Okay.
I don't know all the procedural stuff.
Yeah. But that's a great idea too.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah. They're very good with all that stuff. It's been an amazing process. We've been through it and see how professional they are. And just because the goal is to bring out the magic of these dogs and they don't want anything to get in the way of that. And all those, so they take they're really meticulous about what they do. And it's amazing.
Wait, look who's at the door.
We also did a show with my friend who's a CEO, retired of a hospital. We were talking about the benefits of dogs for the elderly, because like you said, Michael, how he got you out and, with the geese and stuff, it gets them, they get up in the morning because, hey, got to let the dog out, got to feed the dog. I mean, I think it's a great benefit, not only for kids, but especially elderly people, because it gets them moving. And look at the depression that goes on there too.
Oh, and loneliness.
And
yes.
But I think there's a stigma with that too, especially with big dogs, right? Because the elderly, they don't know how they can actually handle one.
Right.
And I think that stigma comes into it where that's going to take them off from doing that. And so I think that maybe that's a good idea to find a process to where you can, and we do that. Lingo and I visit nursing homes and do all those other things too all the time.
Oh, I love that.
We talk to them about it. We try our best to do it. But yeah, there's that stigma of, hey, I can't control this dog, right? And so I think that that is a good idea. But
well, the other thing, there was a really neat, I think it was on 60 Minutes a long time ago, where they took kittens, feral kittens that, they needed to be raised and nursed and everything. And they took them into a nursing home. And these people, you could just see them brighten. I mean, it was lovely. And then, of course, they found homes for them after they raised them. But they took on the responsibility, and they went from night and day to just sitting around doing nothing to, oh, they're here and petting and holding. It was just lovely. Like I said, people that don't know pets, boy, are they at a loss, because they just do everything wonderful for us.
Well, and that onto that note, kind of a tangent, but the same thing with prisoners too. Yeah. Prisoners that, there's a lot of cool stories about that, and just the attachment they have when some of the prisoners get taken away from after the dog has to leave them, and how it just changes them internally, and some, Yeah, I mean, sure, the prison has a whole different diversity of people. Some people made mistakes, sure, and they're trying to some people have addiction issues, but then there's some people that aren't good people, right? But that dog in their life, or whatever that may be, a cat, it changes them inherently, right? Loving a creature, seeing that unconditional love. There's no way to simulate that. And I know from firsthand experience, just the way I always loved dogs. I always loved animals, but I didn't really know what they did for you. And until I went through it. So it's amazing.
Do you mind if I ask you what type of brain tumor did you have?
I had a medulloblastoma.
Wow.
What does that mean? Where?
So I was in my cerebellum, right here, the part of your brain that controls movement, from what I understand. And I mean, obviously it was my reality. So I had to do a little bit of neuroscience research and stuff, but I don't claim to be any expert, but it was malignant. It was like, say the spectrum of, there's like a benign, there's three more levels. Mine was the second one. And the surgeries were fine for me. That's just acute pain that, I think anybody that's been in pain can get used to it. The hardest part for me was the side effects of the chemotherapy and radiation. I had really aggressive medication done where they had to like really, really aggressive radiation in the back of my head for 2 months, 5 days a week, basically. And so that kind of messed me up for years. And I was at that point where I started to come back looking normal when I met Lingo, but I still on the inside was really damaged. But to be honest, that brain cancer that I got, I see it as the biggest gift I ever got, because it really changed me and changed my perspective and helped me. It taught me empathy and compassion in a lot of ways. Where I was a decent person, but my priorities were all wrong, and my values and the things I was really selfish. And that's my story about what I speak on. It's I had a disease of me, right? I only cared about what I really wanted, and I didn't know how to look past that. I didn't know how to help others. I didn't really know how to help myself. So,
were your initial symptoms, were you like off balance? Because I know the cerebellum controls that.
Yeah, no, it was more so of just blinding headaches, right? Just sensitivity to light, not being able to wake up. I had gone through so after I got hurt with baseball, I had gone through some opiate addiction in that sense, and so I think at the time, because of my reactions of that, the girl that I was dating thought I was using drugs, obviously, because I was passing out and not being able to wake up, and then one day we had gotten in a fight, and she dropped me off at the emergency room, and then everything happened from there. But it was it was, I mean, just a little bit smaller than a lacrosse ball size. So
that's pretty big.
It was very large. Yeah.
Did they make the diagnosis quickly, or did they send you home like, oh, it's a migraine and here's this?
No.
Thank God.
When you go to the emergency with a head injury, like I was saying, they take it really seriously. They got me right in.
Oh, good.
And they got me right in, and they got all the the MRIs and all that stuff done. It was good. I had a great experience with Barrows in that sense, but I didn't have like the dog experience, right? When I was there, I didn't have that, and I could think about how amazing it would have been, right? But then again, too, at that time, like I said, I hadn't reached that point where I understood what the magic of these dogs do.
Excuse me.
Was this in California?
Human door opener. Excuse me.
Okay. Was this in California
This was in Arizona. It was in Phoenix.
Oh, it was in Phoenix.
At Barrows. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Because Boston. Now, was this during training?
No, this was after I got released.
Okay.
After I got released, and this is not the official cause of it, but this is what I think happened. So when I was diagnosed with it, I learned later that I had some, because it happens mostly in children, right? I learned later that some parts of my line of my family had gotten that, and I didn't know that, and so I missed out on it. But I had those. It was a very specific type of headache that I got. It was it's hard to explain, but it was like kind of a grinding, crunching, just like a really bad headache. And I had that headache once before, a little milder, when I was in college at Berkeley. And I got my test. I immediately went in, and the college helped me get tests done on it. And it turned out I had nothing wrong. And so, with the size of that tumor, then now just a few years later, it must have either been in growing my whole life, or it must have been just rapidly just happened.
Yeah.
And in my desperation and coming back to play baseball again, because when I injured my arm, basically doctors told me that I could never throw right again. And I had lost my identity. I was just in such a dark place, and I didn't at that time. I didn't see a life without baseball.
Right.
I put all my eggs in that basket, and that's what I wanted to do, and that was a choice that I made. So I was willing to do anything to get that, and I was willing to die at 40 to play 10 years in the major leagues. It was a very toxic, mindset. And so I tried human growth hormone and other anabolic steroids, right? And I did that to try to heal my arm, but I didn't do it with any supervision. I did it on my own, and I bought it from some people that probably weren't the best people to buy it from. And so that most likely was what caused my tumor to happen. And that's what I said earlier about me having some culpability in my choices and actions. And so, and just thinking about somebody that's completely innocent is just, it's hard.
But in a way, you can't blame yourself, because had you known that could be an effect of that, I know you wouldn't have done it.
No, I don't blame it. No, I don't know that, right? Because I was at the time, it was like, hey, if I, because I did a lot of things that I inherently knew that would hurt me later on, but it wasn't about the later on.
Yeah.
It was about this right now, and that's why I talk about the disease of me, right? I only cared about me right now, my feelings. If somebody said, hey, this is going to give you a tumor later on, but you can play 10 years, who knows? I probably would have signed that deal, right? And I don't blame myself at all. I'm grateful that it happened. I'm grateful that I didn't make the major leagues and play long, because I wouldn't have been a very good person. I wouldn't be able to do these things I'm doing now. I wouldn't be able to be there for my family in that way. I cared more about prestige and superficial things. I didn't care about, the things that I have now. And so I'm so grateful that it all happened. I don't blame, things happen. I accept them, but it's like I said, it was a gift.
But I think people in many professions, not just pro athletes or Olympic athletes, I live in an area where people work on Wall Street, and they are super high achievers, and there's this total focus. And
Sure.
I don't think it's just athletes. I think that drive to succeed and to do really well is kind of innate in some people.
Sure.
Right. And no matter what field you're in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's almost American, right? It's absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's why when I share my story now and try to reach out to people and hopefully provide some inspiration, I can relate to everyone in that sense, because it's not just in sports. Everybody has that, and everybody has that identity issues, right? It's really what it's about. It's about who you are. And I was trying to always be somebody different when I was playing. So how could it have been my purpose? I was always trying to be something that I wasn't. And I thought I had this like feeling, that I was ordained to play baseball. That was my purpose.
Yeah.
And I think that happened early on, and I playing year round all the time when I was young, and getting all that. But like I said, how could it have been when I was always trying to be something else?
I just hope that when you do your motivational speaking, first of all, Lingo's with you, right? When you do that?
Most of the time. Yeah. Sometimes.
I just hope people can identify with that, because to me, what a wonderful life-changing experience you had in spite of the dark part of it. I mean, you really found the true you, and how many people really are lucky enough to find that? Yeah. And I have to say, Lingo played a big role.
It's all Lingo. It's all Lingo.
Always have to give the pets credit. Yeah. And not even a pet. Like, I'm sure wild animals have an effect on people just the same way. Like people that do elephant rescue and things like that. Those certainly aren't pets, but God, they see how soulful they are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm grateful that I've had the relationship with him, and I've had him for this time. But it also could just be like an experience that changes, right? Yeah. Maybe just an experience of seeing one at the hospital that helped you get through it, right? Reminder of something that's waiting for you. That's what they do. It's not just they provide that relationship, and I'm lucky to have what I have, and not a lot of people have found that in that sense. But that experience, and that's why we do it, because hopefully that we can change somebody else in that aspect.
So, Michael, I'm gonna ask the question, Alice. The question we ask all of our guests: what is your pet or human peeve? So, what annoys you about humans or pets or pet owners? Like, what just ticks you off?
It's funny because it's right. They say things that bother you are usually something that you have in yourself, right? Right. So I think for people, it's like just not being considerate of the people around you wherever you are, right? So say like I'm at the gym or something and somebody wants to play their music and where other people are in there, just like get headphones like everybody else, right?
Yes.
Or certain things where they just don't like, just like littering or just something that just says screw you to the environment and the people around you, right? That bothers me the most. And it's very clear those type of people are, and they just, because they can't look outside themselves, right? And that bothers me so much because that was me, right? That's why. And I see that because, right, that's all I care about in the past was me. And so when I see it now, I know that, but I instantly, and that's the gift of introspection, right? Where I'm able to see like, hey, don't be too hard on them because maybe they haven't learned to yet. Right. And it's really hard to be compassionate to people you're like that you don't like, right? Or somebody you're mad at. And so whenever I'm mad at somebody or whatever, I don't like somebody, I try to go up to them and say something nice or do something nice for them. Right. That's the hard part. And for dogs, let's see. You know, it's hard. I love animals, and they can't get you mad for very long, right? But my shepherds like to 5 a.m. They like to go on my lake, right? They like to go in the lake, and they like to run inside, and or they like to get muddy. Yeah, a couple of them. So I'm out there at 5 a.m. and washing dogs, you know. So I mean, I can't blame them if they have an accident in the house, right? I can't blame them for that. Yeah. But when they go out there and purposely run in my lake, you know, when it's who knows how many degrees out, and that kind of drives me nuts. Or they jump on the bed, or when I'm changing my sheets and they just do that, you know. So
that's
they do that often.
Well, hey, I've got a poop eater, and if I'm not out there immediately, these Amish mill,
she goes, gotta pick up a poop, gotta go.
I know. These Amish mill rescues, these females eat their poop because, you know, they had no socialization. So I'm telling you, I got a poop eater, and I love her. I love everything about her, but the poop eating really, I got to tell you, it pisses me off, you know, and she can't help it.
My sister lives in the more city area, and I live in the more, so I take her a couple of nights to give her some exercise because she's, you know, a shepherd under 2 and she's a little crazy. But my sister has, I think, 4 cats now, right? So you got a bunch of cat poop eaters, right? So they'll have the litter mustache, you know. Yeah,
and they roll in the litter. It's like a little extra crunch. Yeah.
So there's some things they have to do now to work around so the dogs don't have access to the litter boxes. So
yeah, we call it the sand trap, the litter box. Yeah. My husband will go, I got to go clean the sand trap. Yeah. Well, you know, Michael, I learned a lesson when I had Lyme disease and Bartonella, and I could barely walk. And there's one thing, I used to get really impatient behind people, like in the grocery, they're moving slow and I'm like lickety split. And then when I had to slow down because I couldn't walk because of joint inflammation, I really learned a lesson. Like, you have to be patient. Like, not everybody moves at warp speed. And I never really realized that until it affected me.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it just kind of hit home.
Absolutely. No, and I had something similar to that. Like, when I started to look normal again, when I started to put some weight back on and my hair started to grow back, and I hated going outside because everybody treated me like I was normal, right? Like, how could they not know, like, on the inside I'm still like broken and I got all this pain and I got all these issues that I'm going through. And I was telling myself and then at some point I realized that's what you've been doing your whole life. You've been judging people from the outside. You've been judging. You have no idea what people are going through on the inside, right? You have no idea. So you judge other people's actions or the way they look or talk, but you have no basis of that. And that taught me that similar lesson, right? And it was very powerful for me.
Do you guys hear a squeak toy in the background?
I do. I thought that was Lingo.
No, because both came in.
Mom's on a call.
Well, there's Lingo.
Oh, look at that Lingo.
Lingo, wake up. Hey, Michael, we can't thank you enough. This has been so inspiring. I can't even tell you, Janet.
Thank you, Michael. You've inspired me.
So, look here comes the squeaker right now. Okay. And the other one's going to get the toy.
Michael, thank you so much. And thank you for the work you do with these kids and families. You brighten their day. And thank you. We appreciate you.
Give Lingo a big hug and kiss for us, because we want to do that in person someday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you, Janet. I think we're going to wrap it up. Michael, we love you.
Thank you.
And tell Lingo we love him second.
Okay.
This is Dr. Alice Novotny Jerome, one of the Novotny sisters,
and Janet Novotny King, one of the Novotny sisters from Cleveland, Ohio. Saying thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow us, share us with your friends, and we appreciate you tuning in. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in today. We hope you learned some valuable information about making decisions about your pet's health.
And don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe on podcasts, because we love to have those likes. Thanks so much for listening.
That's actually really good.
Oh,
you
good.
could both go bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You know? Yeah.
How about woof woof?